Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today, I want to talk to you about a personal preference of mine, which is planes over trains. Let me give you a little backstory here. I go to school in DC. I live up in New Jersey, kind of near New York City. Taking a plane from DC to New York is not the most lucrative idea. Logistically, it would take a lot of time to get from Reagan to Newark or LaGuardia or JFK. Right now, there is a lot of construction happening at LaGuardia and at JFK too. So the New York City airports, the ones literally in New York City, LaGuardia and JFK, they are not so easy to maneuver with. Newark is closest to me. From DCA to EWR, Newark, it's expensive because DCA is not a United hub. So United makes very few flights in and out of DCA. I remember I looked up round trip in early October from DCA to Newark. It was about $600, $600. Just me, one person. That was not happening. Another option that I have for getting home or getting to here from home would be to take a train. Amtrak does have regular service from Union Station in DC to New York Penn Station, Newark Penn Station, Metro Park Island. I usually use Metro Park Island. I've also used New York Penn. I haven't really used Newark Penn. The last train I took from Metro Park down to Union Station was $49. And then on the flip side, the train that I took to get home 4 days earlier was $172. That was a $123 range.
Wow.
I just booked my Thanksgiving tickets today for November 20th from Union Station to New York Penn Station. The reason why I did New York Penn and not Metro Park is because it would be arriving at about 6:30 and that's rush hour. My parents don't want to be on the road at that time. I don't want to be on the road at that time. So the plan is that I can get to New York and then either hang out in New York or go directly home. And to get home from New York Penn, it's very easy for me. I use NJ Transit. I have a direct train to my town. A lot of people would prefer to take a train over a plane. I'm different. I'll admit, I don't particularly enjoy being on a plane in the air. There is not a lot happening. There's sky, there are clouds, there are flight attendants who occasionally come around with food or trash collection. I absolutely love being at airports. I love watching planes. I love watching them take off. I love watching them land. I prefer to see them taking off. I personally love the idea of leaving. I just think there's a lot more adventure and escapism involved in aviation than there is in trainiation, I'm gonna call it.
That's not even a word!
Union Station, I will say, is a very nice station. Lots of commerce, lots of food options. But the thing about Amtrak is trains don't necessarily have seat selection. If you're in coach, which takes up most of the train, then you're gonna be scrambling for seats. And if you're traveling with friends, forget it. You gotta get on the line early. You're gonna have to stand around for an hour. Even if you do manage to find a seat, which you should if you have a ticket, you're not guaranteed that you'll have your baggage with you. This happened to me last time I was on a train. The train was so full, I put my bags in the overhead compartment and then assumed I would be able to find a seat in that car. I couldn't. Everything was taken up in that car. So I moved to a different car, grabbed a seat. My bags were still in the other car. I left my backpack on the seat, asked the gentleman sitting next to me if he could hold my seat. He said yes. I went and brought my bags over to my actual seat. But when you're flying on a plane, you have a reserved seat. You're basically guaranteed overhead space at that seat. So there's really no rush. And they board by groups. I'm not sure how efficient those groups are. We can explore that in another video. Everything's more clear. Nothing is uncertain. Planes are just exciting. Taking off, it's almost like being on an amusement park ride. It's like a launch. And then when you get off the roller coaster, you're in a new place. It's exciting. I love it. I love airports, especially ones with museums. Those are so valuable for knowledge. Pittsburgh has a great museum of its own history. It's always good to know local history. San Francisco has a lot in its airport. It has a museum, which has some old airplane seats from the 1920s. No seatbelts. They have a lot of food too in San Francisco. San Francisco's a great airport. I have a very biased perspective. I live near a major airport. I live near a major city. I'm in a major city right now. So it would make sense that the airport and even the train stations would be something amazing. Metro Park isn't amazing, but Penn Station, there's a lot in Penn Station. There's a lot in New York. Penn Station's right in New York, and Union Station is very much in the heart of DC. I have a very biased perspective. Someone who does not live near a major airport would have to put in more work to get to a major airport, so the airport around them, if they even have an airport around them, might not be so impressive in terms of its amenities and services and commercialism. I personally prefer airports, but I do understand that trains offer more freedom to move, much wider seats, you get more legroom, more accessible outlets. Airplanes seem to think it's a good idea to put outlets awkwardly underneath your legs. They don't usually work, and it's so hard to find them. There's so little pitch. How are you supposed to find those outlets? But I'm just a plane fan. I love planes. I prefer flying, but there is a major cost difference between that and a train. So I am taking a train for Thanksgiving and winter break. However, I will be flying to Florida during winter break. Warm weather. I hope you are enjoying fall. I hope you are getting pumped for Halloween. Have a great night. Happy Halloween, and I'll see you later. Adios.